Hello there, this is Brian, and welcome to an episode of Product Reviews. In this episode of Product Reviews, we will be looking at the Greenworks 80-volt leaf blower, available at a lot of different retailers. I purchased this particular one at Costco, recently on sale. This is actually my second one, which replaces the previous model of the same voltage that I purchased several years ago. And I'll be opening the package, giving my impressions of the new model, and discussing its benefits and shortcomings. So before we get started, let's go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe for future content if you haven't already. So let's go ahead and tear this open. Because this came from Costco, it comes with a free second battery, which is honestly one of the reasons I decided to pick this up, as the batteries themselves are pretty expensive. I believe I paid $200 for this unit on clearance. I already have a number of 80-volt Greenworks products, so this fits in with my suite. So we can see the battery here is laid right up on top. And these have gone through revisions through the years, but they're all basically the same thing. One thing that I did note is the charger is different now. It's a lot smaller than they used to be. And here is the Greenworks leaf blower itself. Everything comes pretty well wrapped up and packaged. I did have this shipped to my house rather than going to my local Costco to pick it up. So it did survive shipping pretty well. This is something new. This is actually a harness for your shoulder, which my original version did not include. And they definitely did a major redesign of this model. And while it's the same basic principle as mine, a lot of things have been changed, which we'll note as we go through. And of course, here is the instructions. And these batteries are pretty hefty. They're the 2 amp hour versions, which seem to be pretty common with this unit. And I believe these also came with my snowblower as well. I've read that you can actually swap these with the Lowe's 80-volt cobalt batteries with some modifications to the rails, though I've actually not tried that personally. Now, as you can see, the assembly seems to be pretty straightforward. This fits on top of there, locks in, which is actually new. The old blower nozzle was actually just one piece. And as I put this on, you can see this clicks in. The previous model, I pushed it in, and rotated it, I believe, clockwise. So just some slight changes here. And I also noticed that this nozzle is actually a lot wider as well too, which lends me to believe that this actually can move a lot more air than the previous version. Overall, it seems to be pretty well built, pretty solid. Definitely a very different design, which we'll get into as we compare this side by side with the previous one. So I decided to go ahead and grab my previous version of this, which I purchased off of Amazon about 4 years ago. The old model moved air at 125 miles an hour and 500 cubic feet per minute, while this new one's rated at 150 miles per hour and 730 cubic feet per minute. Overall, it gives you not only faster air, but it moves more of it. And I can see right away that the engager for this definitely is different. So let me go ahead and take the brand new second battery and pop this into the old one so we can get a good comparison using the same batteries. And we can see right away that these engage differently. Let's go ahead and start them up. So you can hear right away that there's a difference. Aside from the power, the activator was changed, which was an old digital one to a new throttle and trigger, which means you can activate all the power at once using the trigger or set it to a type of cruise control, which is kind of interesting. They weigh about the same. I did notice when I picked up the new one, it leaned forwards, whereas the old one sort of stayed more balanced. And other differences here too. Obviously, I mentioned the chargers differently. The batteries themselves haven't really changed too much I did make note earlier that the nozzles are different. The new one is much wider, and when I first looked at this, I was a little concerned that the wide nozzle would generally mean less velocity if all things are equal, which we will see they basically are not. So another thing that I noticed too is they changed the air intake. The old air intake was in the back here underneath, whereas the new one actually is on the sides and underneath. This is actually a pretty good improvement. One of the issues with the old model is if you're using it, having a rear intake meant that if you had something loose on you, it could go ahead and clog that up, whereas this gives you a lot more air access. And this harness is actually a nice addition. Because of the battery, these things do tend to be a little bit heavier than perhaps a traditional leaf blower, but this harness definitely is going to make a difference as far as shouldering the weight. So this is a really nice addition to see. And looking at this too, I guess this makes more sense that it's going to lean forward because this harness is going to pivot it back, because you can notice it's located a little bit more forward than the previous model as well. I guess I should also mention that they sit differently as well. The new one comes with a built-in stand, where the older one, I guess it basically just had a flat bottom that it laid on. You can see my cats there in the background making little cameos. Of course, once I start these up, they are going to take off. And I mentioned the activators are different. So you can see here the old one had a 3-stage digital. And this new one, you get all the power right away just by pulling this. And here is the cruise control function. You just set it to where you want to hold it. In some ways, I like this older version better because I can limit the power that I'm using, which is kind of handy. So if I'm going through something that I don't want full strength on, I can turn it down. Alright, so that's enough looking at the features. Let's go ahead and go outside and test this out. Take my little hiking buddy out with me. So it is winter here in Pennsylvania, so I don't have many leaves left. That being said, we can use these to move snow, which I do from time to time. See my leaf blower on the left there. And I found using it that it's not only more powerful, but it actually activates right away, whereas the old model, it took a good 2 seconds to really wind up to full speed. So as I'm doing this, note that I have the old snowblower on the right and the new snowblower on the left. And you can definitely notice that activation difference, right? That there is a pretty substantial delay between the old one and the new one. So at this point, I'm just trying to find some stuff to move around, not a lot, as I mentioned earlier. I do have some previous video of me using this on the snow, which you can see will work pretty well. Overall, I gotta say, you know, both of these actually do really well. And I can't say you're bad going, or you're in worse off going with either of these. And one of the things I do like about these electric snowblowers is that they're really easy to use year-round. And, you know, if you're in the Northeast or anywhere, probably on the Northwest or up in Canada, or any type of cold climate, you know, you can use these year-round, not just for leaves and brush and whatnot or grass clippings in the summer, but in the winter, these are great for clearing off your car or small walkways. And the nice thing about having an electric leaf blower is you don't have to worry about starting it when it's cold in the winter. You don't have to worry about it leaking or having trouble starting. These just go right away, and they're really low maintenance, really. So in closing here, I wanted to show you using the old model at least to clear off the car the other morning when I had a dusting of snow from the night before. The temperature was about 4 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 15 degrees Celsius. I can't even imagine trying to start a summertime gas-powered leaf blower in this. But with this, you just push the button and it's ready to go, which I feel is the real advantage of these units, is that you don't have to mess around with it. You just pop in the battery and these guys just start. And I find that they tend to last, gosh, darn near forever, because all you're really doing is moving air, right? So the pros include they're easy to start year-round. They're very powerful. Mine with the 80 volts is probably about as powerful as most gas-powered units. As I mentioned, there's basically no maintenance or issues that I know of or can speak of. Now the cons, there definitely are some cons. I feel it's a little bit heavier than your traditional gas-powered leaf blower, though not by much. Batteries are expensive. I've replaced probably most of these Greenworks batteries at least once within the warranty period, and they usually run about $100 to $200. Just keep in mind, if you buy the regular Greenworks 80 volt, I believe it is a slightly shorter warranty than the Pro, which gives you an extra year battery warranty. So if you already have an 80 volt Greenworks 80 volt product in your household, I'd probably definitely recommend getting the leaf blower. If you have another system already, I'd probably consider getting those. Anyway, overall, I think it's a great product. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please click the like button and subscribe for future content if you haven't already. And I hope to see you in another video soon. And until then, get out there and make your own amazing adventures. Take care.